Hey, welcome back to another season of Rise Up in Real Estate. I'm just learning the buttons. I realized that the countdown was supposed to be happening when we were live. It didn't do you guys any good to do the countdown, we weren't live. So that countdown was for the three of us. So you're welcome for that. Welcome back to season 8. I can't believe this is season 8. Ashley and Lawton, first season of this. You were 7 years old. Lawton. It's been quite a long episode, but it's the 8th season of our podcast. And I don't, when I think about that, I try to think back to the things that we've talked about in the past, like the episodes and the guests and the conversations that we had. Like I remember talking to Lori White about the time she accidentally took a gun to the airport and got arrested. Thrown in jail, and one of our dear friends, Richard Singleton, was allowed to get her out after only one night. But shockingly, I was the first phone call that Lori's late husband made when she was in jail. So that was an episode. I remember an episode where we had Jeremy Blanton talking about the very first YouTube video he'd done and how coming this long into it now, his business is really robust, and all because of a lot of it is because of YouTube now. I remember talking to, actually, you were a guest on the podcast. Lawton, I think you were a guest at one point on here talking about your journeys. Do y'all have any favorite past episodes that you can pull up in your memory, or can you think of anything off the cuff? I mean, I
think Ashley's was my favorite.
And Lawton's was my favorite.
Here we go. We're gonna start like that. I love it. I mean, if you're gonna brown nose, you might as well start from the very beginning, right? I mean, that's awesome. But welcome back, Lawton and Ashley. You know, I don't know if everybody's recognized this. If they looked at our YouTube channel and socials and all that, we got a facelift. The primary facelift was getting rid of Vince. Vince is too busy for us. He's selling new homes, and then we'll have him back on, I'm sure, at some point. But we've done a little facelift, and I'm glad to have my now fully committed co-hosts, Lawton and Ashley, on the show. They didn't realize they were fully committed until just this second, but we're happy that they are now part of the show on a regular basis. So welcome back. Tell me, it's been a while since we've talked, but tell me about the last few months. Like, what were the highlights, Lawton and Ashley, for you guys the last couple of months? We had a holiday, we had a new year, we had snowstorm. You're in the middle of basketball season, Lawton. Talk to me about what's happening. And if there's any guests out there, I see a bunch of you hopping it on. You guys are welcome to put comments out there. And like we have one right here already. Somebody, I don't even know who this is. This is probably one of my editor's friends, maybe from the Philippines. I don't know. Hi, nice to see you. What's going on with you guys?
One of your newest fully committed co-hosts. I still have my view on my computer to see the vertical presentation also, and we can only see the top of your head and the bottom of Lawton's. So something on the vertical presentation for like phone viewing is not, it was correct, and now it's not correct.
Let me try. I just turned on my vertical too. Thank you for letting me know that. Let me see if I can make a change on that on the fly that makes a difference. That didn't help. And that didn't help. Rounded corners doesn't help. No, that's worse. Look at my head, man. My head's huge. My forehead is giant. Let's see.
I mean,
that's a good question. Was it right at some point?
Yeah. It was an actual vertical view, but I don't know where that is.
Is anybody out there experiencing what? Like, tell me where you're seeing this, Ashley. Is it on? Like, I don't know if it's
I'm still in the screen that's showing me computer mode and mobile on the left.
I guess if anybody's looking at it on their phone, they're going to get the top of my head and y'all's mouths.
I think they just got to turn it sideways. I don't know that you can change that. I think it's just how it looks if they hold their phone upright.
They got to turn it sideways, huh? Or I could do, wait.
There you go.
Dude, that's weird. The whole thing moves. That was weird.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thanks, Joey. Joey says looks good on the computer. So if you're on Facebook, there's a bunch of you on here now. The ones that were doing vertical probably already left, but we appreciate you coming for a second anyway. There we go. So tell me here, this person wants to be shouted out. I don't know who you are, but shout out to you. We love having you on the show. Give me your name. I'll shout you even further. Ashley, Lawton, what's going on with you guys before we hop into the theme of the season and what's coming up? I'm kind of missed being on here, so we're going to talk a lot today. What do y'all got? Tell me what you've been doing the last 60 days.
I feel like we've had so many exciting events happening December and January. Like everybody feels like the holidays are very busy time of year, and then everybody gets to breathe for a minute, and we did not breathe, right? We had all these events to make agent swag at the office. We're doing one today. Tracy's on her way to Somerville right now to fire up the heat presses and get some Remax swag for agents. They could bring in anything they wanted. We had celebration events, 4 different events to celebrate agents in all of the markets. Also, we had new sessions for agent development that were coming out of the ground and putting in front of agents beginning of January to kick off the new year. So it's been fast forward, like really great stuff and great feedback from people, but there was no breather after the holidays, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what when people say, why do you take a break like from the podcast? Because we do this seasonally. We'll stop this right around Memorial Day. So we'll have 15 episodes. Then we'll have the summer off. And people say, why do you do that? Well, because my kids never have time off and our business never has time off. Like Ashley's exactly right. We've crammed a lot of stuff in the last 60 days, and you highlighted it very well. It was fun to celebrate everybody, to take a step back and do some of that stuff. There's Carrie. Hey, Carrie, nice to see you down there in Somerville holding it down. I'm sure you've got it on the conference room. Have y'all got the Precedent event down there today? I think they do. Carrie, are you in with Tracy? Is Tracy there yet? Man, I wish there was a way y'all could shoot us a picture of what's going on down there. That sounds fun. But Ashley, we appreciate it. And I know you've been working hard on the content for the year. You've actually started already and maybe completed now. Yeah. A 6-week series on reconnecting everybody back to our Momentum platform. How's that been going?
Well, I mean, I had the content prepared and I thought that it went well, but the real test will be when I ask for some agent reviews, just like agents ask for reviews from their clients. I'm going to ask for some reviews from agents that were in the room and, get some feedback from them. So I hope that it was incredibly useful. It was 6 weeks. It was workshop style. So it wasn't all information forward. They actually wrote out numbers and wrote out plans and talked about what was going to move their business forward. So I hope that it was great, but verdict is still out, Tad.
We always like what we do. It's like this podcast. I enjoy it so much. And I don't know if anybody else even watches, but anyway, those of you that are on here, there's a bunch on here. We are going to talk about the agent of the future. That's our theme for the month. I mean, for the season. So stick around. We want your input. We need you to tell us what you'd like to discuss this season and all of that as soon as I find out how Lawton's been doing. What's been going on in your world for the last 60 days? Anything exciting? Anything fun?
Well, to touch on Ashley's class, I was able to make it to some of them. I had things come up for the other ones, but it was great. I think it was the most attended I've ever seen a class that Ashley was actually teaching. Usually it's not that busy, but she had a good attendance there. When you said what the highlight of the last little while, I think it was the snow. And I'm trying to figure out my wife's been here for now 2 winters, and I'm trying to figure out how to convince her that this doesn't happen every winter in Myrtle Beach. So I still haven't figured that one out yet, but same thing with clients that I was trying to show houses to in those days, and I'm letting them know, hey, this doesn't happen. They're like, what about last year? I'm like, well, okay, the last 2 years it has. But that was pretty fun. I thought it's just pretty crazy to see all of the things that we see at the beach all the time, but then with snow on it. But other than that, it's just been just a change of the year, but everything else is pretty much the same. Just doing stuff, getting business planned. I got my little business plan that I made in those classes with Ashley sitting on my filing cabinet in my office. So looking forward to it.
That's awesome. You Joey's got something for you, Lawton. Joey says he knows an agent in Florida. If you're interested in moving, getting away from here. It's Abby's from upstate New York. I guess that's what you call it. So Lawton's wife. And so that's a little bit difficult for her to understand that this isn't the normal for us. But those of you that don't know, we're in coastal South Carolina, North and South Carolina. And we've been in our house 4 years, and 3 years we've had snow. And and probably the 8 years prior to that, we didn't. So it's been I don't know what Al Gore was talking about global warming, but just Shaw on that as far as we're concerned here in South Carolina. So excellent. And Lawton, you've got in full transparency, we won't talk about details, but you got a transaction that's on the rocks, kind of wobbling. And then don't we all go through that kind of stuff? Like, here you are, Happy New Year, right into February, and you just got one that's not going like you thought. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know how thin of a thread you can get, but that's what we're hanging on with right now. So we'll see how that goes.
I won't tell you who it was actually, but I asked Lawton. I said, "Is there anything I can do? Like, how can I help? Like, is there any way that I could contribute?" And then I said, "Who's on the other side of the transaction?" And when I found that out, I was like, "Oh, you don't need my help because y'all got it covered. You know, the two of you, if two of y'all can't get it done, it just isn't meant to be." But don't we all have that kind of thing? So awesome. So here's what we're going to do. We did a little bit of introspection just for those of you listening to this show live, and also those that will hear this recorded, because, by the way, we record on Wednesdays, and Mondays it goes on to all the podcast channels after it's edited. And we have a YouTube channel with a ton of videos for those of you that pay attention and want to get those. But after looking at what in the world we wanted to accomplish with the season, because some seasons we fill with guests. We talk to guests. We try to figure out what's going on in their business and in their lives. And some seasons we have, we just jump around. There's no pattern. Well, we decided that we're going to have a theme for this season. And the theme is to rise up in real estate. And you can see I don't know if everybody can see our little logo. I'm pretty proud of this little logo up here. We use StreamYard as our platform. So sometimes I figure out where to get the logos and sometimes I don't. You'll see that. But we're going to talk about the agent of the future. When I say that, you guys tell me what you think of. What's the first thing that pops in my, actually, Lawton, you too, but even some guests hop in and tell me, what is it that you think of when I say agent of the future? Hey, Tara, nice to see you. Tara Carroll. What do y'all think about? Anybody? If you say it out loud, it's more effective, or if you type it in the comments. But if you think
right. Yeah, I forgot that part. Agent in the future. Well, I just see. Okay, here's what I would love to see, but I don't know that this is what we're going to see. I would love to see that anybody in any profession can accomplish what their role is in their job in less amount of time and be able to enjoy an abundant life for more hours during the week. My fear is that we will figure out ways to be efficient in what we're doing and then still pack in 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours, because we're so used to working that kind of schedule. So I don't know if that's the kind of answer that you wanted, but that's always what I think about. Like, are people going to enjoy life more because they can accomplish so many of their tasks in lightning speed that used to take hours or days or weeks to accomplish? Or are they going to have a revelation that we can enjoy our family and our time off and still have everything done that had to be done a year ago? I'm still doing it. So
that's an interesting thought. I'd love to hear your talks about it, Lawton. But for me, like, it parallels with, and I think this is what you're talking about, when we got the use of this crazy device. I mean, I can even think back when I heard the first time someone said, "You've got mail," right? I was like, man, this is going to make me so much more effective and efficient. This is going to make me so much more effective and efficient. My computer or the intranet or whatever. But what it actually has done is the opposite. We may do more, but we've also crammed more in. We've figured out a way that it does give you more time, but we fill that with work, maybe not with pleasure. Is that what you're kind of what you're talking with? We just work more. Yeah.
And listening to Zach Cass last year at R4 on the big stage during one of the big sessions, that nugget was really planted in my mind, because I believe he said something along the lines of, everybody in this room better figure out a hobby, because you're going to have to know what to do with yourself if you've been a person who's always consumed all of their time with work. You got to figure out what you love to do, because now you're going to be able to accomplish your work in a fraction of the time, and you're going to be able to enjoy hobbies and recreation activities. And so I just keep thinking, is that really what people are going to choose?
Yeah, I love that. What do you think of that, Lawton?
Yeah, I was going to say along the same lines of something around technology and artificial intelligence and all of that that's coming and already here. But I think the people that are able to succeed in the future are going to be, like Ashley's saying, you're going to be able to do the exact same thing you did last year in a sixth of the amount of time, and then figure out where you want to put that rest of the time. Do you want to put it into doing more of that? Then maybe you're able to do more. But you also, like we're saying, there's going to be opportunity to lose other parts of your life because you're going to be able to create so much more. But I think this is kind of what Carrie's talking about too in the chat here, like the people that are able to succeed with AI while still keeping the interpersonal relationships, I think are going to be those that succeed, because everyone's going to be able to use ChatGPT and AI and anything like that. But people that solely rely on that, I think, are going to fall off at some point. But if you're able to utilize that, you might work a couple hours a day and be able to do what you did last year in 8-hour days. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. Great comment, Carrie. Lawton summarized it well. Here's the rest of it. They are able to use AI and other technologies to make things very efficient. It's interesting when I say the word future, we've automatically gone to technology like AI and apps and tools and all of those things. I think that's part of it for sure. And I think that's a natural. When I say agent of the future, I almost think of like I don't know, an astronaut or something that's like when we used to watch. Actually, you're just reached 40, so you might not remember this reference, but the Jetsons, like that was the family of the future, and they were involved flying around in cars. And I used to thought nobody's ever going to fly around in a car. I mean, they're not going to drive their car in the air to the restaurant, right? And now I'm like, you go to Vegas and you see a car pull up that doesn't have any people in it. Like the self-driving cars are here. I don't know that I've not been in one yet. I don't know when I'm going to, but that's a thing. So when I say that was the family of the future, now we're talking about the agent of the future, and we immediately go to the technology aspect of it. Like, where can we leverage? And that's certainly going to be some of our conversations. Like I've got the list of, believe it or not, I've got the list of the episodes already planned out for 15 weeks. You can't even believe it. Those of you that have been on this show for a while, because I do a lot of improv and we flow a lot, but I've got AI in our daily lives, what actually works. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And I think Lawton and Ashley are so good at talking about this. We're going to open up their playbooks. I'm going to talk to Lawton about what in the world does he do on a daily basis with AI, and help us understand, Ashley, how do you really use it? Because I don't know, everybody's talking about how long it's going to take for us to adapt or to start using it. What do y'all think? We'll talk about AI for a minute. What do y'all think is the adoption rate like right now? And maybe the people on the call on the live stream can speak up. How many of you are using it on a regular basis? And actually, Lawton, how long do you think it's going to take people to get where this is a normal part of everybody's day? Are we there yet? Or is it 20%, 80%? What is it like?
You want to go first, Lawton?
Sure. I think depending on age and what your life looks like, I think we're already there for most people. Like, I think unless you don't use your phone or computer ever, like, I think you use it at some point. I mean, people in my generation and even older than me, like, we're almost not going to Google anymore. Like, you're going somewhere where you can ask the same thing, but it's going to talk back to you. But now Google responds to you with AI. So I think it's almost impossible, unless, again, you're on a homestead, never touching technology, to not use it. So that's my opinion. I don't have a percentage, but that's what I feel like.
Ashley, do you think that's because of his age? You're sitting in rooms with all different ages, right? What is your, like, when you have your AI class, your quick hit on Tuesdays, and when you teach a class on it specifically, like you've done or are doing, what is the attendance? Tell me about the age, the generations that are there, and what are you seeing as far as putting it into practice? Because Lawton's generation is probably very comfortable with it.
Yeah, I would probably say that it's maybe my generation and older that are tuning in most frequently. And I have well surpassed 47, and I know the Jetsons. And I mean, I'm not sure I want my own Rosie around the house all the time, but I totally understand and resonate with that reference. So I would say that I have people that are, like I said, my generation and older that are tuning in to the AI quick hits on Tuesday mornings, which are meant to just give people a bite-sized piece of information so they don't get overwhelmed with all of it. I would love to know. I know that there's tables and graphs out there of how fast people grabbed on and started using the internet, right? How long it took to get to a billion users, and then how long it took Facebook to get to a billion users, and how long it then took TikTok to get to a billion users, and then what it's taken for ChatGPT and AI technology to get to a billion users. And it is a fraction of the time. And I can't remember the exact number, so I don't want to misquote any of those, but it's just really incredible how fast people are adapting to that technology. Now, on the flip side of that, we still help clients who don't have an email address to send them electronic signature documents. So we have like both ends of this spectrum represented on a daily basis in our world. And we have agents driving a piece of paper for wet signature to someone's house to then scan in an email to the agent on the other side because the client doesn't have an email address, which means that client hasn't really ever adapted internet technology. They're certainly not going to put their hands on AI technology. And then we have agents like Lawton who are coming in, and they could teach me more about AI than what I already tried to teach and show to the agents, just because they're immersed in it right out of the gate.
Yeah, that's excellent. Interesting. Tara says she uses it every day. I love that. Thank you, Tara, for piping in. I know Carrie is continuously using it as well. Let me know when the pressing starts down there, Carrie. I'm interested to hear what you're making for yourself. But this AI conversation we're going to have a few times during the season. We'll have a few episodes devoted to it. I'm excited. In 2 weeks, we will be 2 weeks from today, Ashley, believe it or not, we will be in Las Vegas. And they've asked us to host the show. And I guess, Lawton, if you're not going to be in Vegas, I think you can log on. We'll figure that out, whether you can be there from here. But we're going to be on location live in the marketplace at our international convention on a big stage up in the air doing this show. So it's going to be pretty cool. They're going to give us a live microphone in the audience for all the people that are in the marketplace at this time, where they can walk up to the microphone and ask us questions. And we're going to talk about the agent of the future, similar to what we're doing today. But our special guest is going to be Tyler Morton, who is probably if I had to name an AI, he's not an expert, but he certainly is cutting edge with the things that he's doing with AI. So we're going to have him sitting with Ashley and I on this stage, and we're going to open up the conversation with him he wants to talk about the future of the industry. How are these AI tools helping or hurting the actual industry, not each person, not how you use it in your business, but how are the mega companies like a Zillow or like Realtor.com or Homes.com, how are they using these tools to shape what we're going to see and hear in the future? So I think that'll be pretty exciting to have that conversation. Carrie's not doing anything. You haven't whatever you're wearing, she's going to put a logo on it. You're going to have to take your jacket off and put it on the press, and we're going to put a Remax balloon right in the middle of the back of it. So
Tad, I just asked ChatGPT the question we were just discussing.
Okay.
It took 15 years for the internet to get to 1 billion users, and it took 5 days for ChatGPT. Now, that's assuming ChatGPT isn't lying to me in my search right here, but right?
Yeah, that's crazy. The adoption, and I'm interested just to hear from the regular people. Like I don't know that we're regular. I think we're a little bit odd, but what are clients and customers? How are they using it? And we don't have to answer this now, but when you sit down with somebody, are you assuming I mean, we used to have to ask them, like, do you prefer to communicate through text or email? Now you almost have to have this conversation. We know they've Googled everything in the past, but now are they getting on Chat GPT and doing their homework and their research? Because, man, there's so much out there that if a client, the customer comes and sits with an agent and has done all of that research, it really impresses on me how much more we have to be on our game and how much more we have to be studying the trends and understand things. And actually, you casually made a pretty good point that I should say, and I noticed it this morning when I was doing something on Chat GPT. Also, the output that you get is not always accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, like I find that my Chat GPT, I named Ruby because we actually wanted to have a daughter named Ruby, but we're not having any more daughters. So I named a chat Ruby. And so I'm having a conversation with Ruby. And sometimes I feel like she's placating to me, like she's being patronizing, like telling me what I want to hear. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure I've set her personality up that way. And that's most comfortable for me. But sometimes I have to say to Ruby, okay, that's really sweet, but can you give me the real answer? Like, talk to me a little tougher than that. Do you find that, Ashley, or a lot when you're using it?
Yes, all the time. When I need feedback on something, I will actually type in there, don't be flattering. I need for you to shoot straight and give me this kind of answer, this kind of analysis. Because it wants to, I think that's helped more people gravitate to use it because it's a little boost in how you feel about yourself for the day. Like you can feel great having a little conversation with Chat GPT, and it just tells you everything you're doing is so smart and so wonderful. And so sometimes you have to coach it and just tell it, I need the real answer here. I don't need any flattery.
So this is, Lawton, I want to get your comment, but this to me is very fascinating because we never, ever, ever did that with Google, ever. You just would search Google, get an answer. That's the gospel. We're going to believe it. There might be 5 or 6 different links or whatever that you could go and discuss find out your answer. But we never said, hey, be easy. Here's the thing we also say. I've heard people say, don't worry about AI replacing you. It can't understand the human element. But actually, what you just described is the human element. Mm-hmm. And it's scary, but it does make me feel certain ways. And it does talk to me in a certain way, and it learns me. And so that's a little bit alarming to me, that it's more than just facts. There is emotion somewhere in there. Am I wrong, Lawton? Do you find that when you do your stuff?
Yeah, I think the CEO of OpenAI tweeted, I think it was even a couple days ago, he actually tweeted a prompt that you can tell ChatGPT that corrects it from always telling you what you want to hear. Because basically from the baseline, it does most of the time tell you what you want to hear. Now I think we all see it. Like you can kind of, if you ask the right questions, you can coerce it into saying whatever you want it to say. But so you have to be honest in what you're asking. But there's a prompt you can put in to kind of train it. No, hey, I don't want you to tell me exactly what you want. I want to hear. I need you to be like honest and come from this point of view. But I think like if we're going to say it's not going to replace us, I think every time that we send something to chat, it's learning how to replace, like not replace us, but it's learning how to be us. It's learning how we think and how we talk. And that is like, it is a good way to continue a conversation with someone who's telling them what they want to hear. So I think you have to be intentional, like Ashley's saying, like, hey, if you ask something and you hear it back and you feel like it's always telling you yes, like be like, wait a second, like be honest with me. Is this actually what you mean? And then sometimes it'll say, if I'm being totally honest, and it'll kind of adjust a little bit. So, I mean, it's a tool that you dig into to get past some of that. But I think it is that part of it is scary to me because it's the way you ask things, you can make it say, like if I ask it something about myself and I know I'm doing something wrong, but the way that I ask it, I can make it sound like I'm not really doing it wrong. And ChatGPT is going to affirm that. And then that part is scary to me. I don't think it's going to totally replace us, but that part is like, that could lead to some unhealthy mental mindsets, at least for some people.
It's somebody that created this thing had to have this conversation before they had to have this conversation before they created it, because I'm not sure now that you say it, I'm learning this as we're talking here. And this is what I love about this show. I've said it a bunch of times. It's what I learn on here. I'm not sure that I ever asked Google in my past its opinion on something. I don't know that I ever went in and said, which way should I do so and so? I would go and say, tell me about this topic or this thing that I'm looking for. I would look at videos and say, how do I cook something? Or I'd look at YouTube videos and I'd go and find, but I never would ask it its opinion. I don't think that I can remember, but that's almost what we always do. Or I do that a lot. Maybe not always. That's an exaggeration, but that's what I do a lot with these AI tools is what do you think might be coming in real estate, or what do isn't that interesting? So that is a human element. Actually, am I crazy? Like I'm having like an aha here.
Well, I'm not sure any of this either proves or disproves your sanity, but no, I think that you're correct, and I'm skeptical, or not skeptical. I'm cautious around AI, and because of what I share with agents, I think that there's this idea amongst all of the people in our company that Ashley loves AI and does everything with AI and thinks that everything about it is great. I'm actually really cautious with it for just that reason, because there's so much of an unknown. Do I use it to be more efficient? Do I try to share with agents how to be more efficient? Absolutely. But I try to be responsible with certain aspects of it and try to have my eyes open to what's happening all around, because there's just a lot of unknown, and exactly what you just touched on. So no, I don't think you're crazy.
Very good answer that it has nothing to do with my sanity, because that's related to other things, which we won't discuss on this show today. But you can ask Chat GPT what they think. Hey, one other question before we move on to other things about the agent of the future, and I'd love to hear from the people that are listening too. Do you guys we always talk about Chat GPT, but I'm learning, and I have learned, that there are a lot of other tools, a lot of other like Perplexity and Grok and other platforms that you can use. Do you guys use those? And I have a certain coach that talks to me about which ones are best for certain things. Are y'all using more than one? And I'm going to ask Tyler this question, and it's going to be a very complex answer, but I'm going to ask him anyway. What do y'all do?
I will say that I've kind of mainstreamed into ChatGPT and then some Gemini, since we all use Google Workspace. Gemini comes loaded into Workspace. But I'm learning more about some of the other platforms, but I have not been digging in and really getting my hands in there. Gene Carter joins almost every single week for AI Quick Hit, which I love. And he is very analytical, and he's so smart. And so his contribution to that is always very valuable. And he said that he uses Perplexity for certain things, and that how he can explain it is that ChatGPT gives him the high school answer and Perplexity gives him the master's degree answer. He just feels that it's kind of more sophisticated in how it's relaying information to him. But I have not been in there using it personally. I'd say those are the two biggest ones that I'm using right now, would be Gemini and ChatGPT.
What about you, youngster?
Yeah, so I actually asked ChatGPT similar questions to figure out which one I should use, which that was a hard one to get it to be honest with me. But I use that the most because I think, honestly, most of what I'm asking it and needing it for is the high school answers for things. I don't need the master's version or answers. I'm getting it to do tasks or things like that I don't need super competent intellectual answers. I use Notebook LM sometimes just to put in, because I think it's cool to be able to take a website and put it into it, and then it goes all the way down to giving me a script for a social media video or something like that. I use that a lot. I've started to use ChatGPT, does it great, but there's a couple of the other ones do it a little bit better, like for virtually staging pictures for listings. Or now what I've gotten to the point of doing is I'll put the listing live, and I'll just let my client know, hey, like if there's any pictures that you don't like, just let me know. And when you open up that door, of course, there's pictures they don't like. So then they email me or text me, and you're like, hey, this one, like this one I had a couple of days ago, the chairs still had their covers on it. and they wanted them to be shown, whatever. So I asked for them to send me a picture. They sent me a picture on their phone of what the chair actually looks like with the cover off. And I went into ChatGPT and was kind of like, hey, here's what the picture looks like that I originally posted. This is what the chair actually looks like. I need you to take the covers off the chairs. And it like that, the chairs look like they're just sitting there with the covers off. So things like that. But like ChatGPT did that one. But I know there's some that are better. But most of the stuff that I need is ChatGPT. And there's no reason for me to use more energy or whatever the argument is for a deeper searching engine.
Yeah, good. That's Tara had to leave. I think this is Jeremy Blanton, I think. Is that Jeremy? New little picture of that?
Yeah, look at that.
Jeremy, that's fancy, man. I think that has something to do with his trading business. Like he's serious. Like it's very serious. And then there, look at there.
Both pages.
There we go. There we go. Now we got him here. Nice to see you, Jeremy. I thought that was you before. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, so I think there's some discussion that we can have as we go forward about the different models. Like I actually had a coach tell me, and maybe I'll find out a little bit more about this before I talk to Gene Carter. I think this coach told me that Perplexity is not what are they called? LLMs or some sort of language model. That's what ChatGPT is, and Grok is, and Gemini. But Perplexity is something else. So I don't know if it's limited in what it gets or if it's compiling and it's actually its own language. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of opportunity for us to learn more, I think, as we talk to Tyler and go a little bit deeper into some of that stuff. Isn't it also interesting? And I don't mean to get sidetracked. This is so fascinating to me. Isn't it also interesting? Can you imagine the guys or gals at Google sitting around it's almost like one day they were the major search engine and the next day they weren't. And then you started Googling, and now Google answers are not the same. The first answer you get primarily when you Google is an AI answer, isn't it? And so they had to sit in this room and listen how quickly they had to make this decision because it changed pretty quickly. They said, you know what, we're getting ready they could be like Blockbuster. They could have gotten left in the dust, but they were willing to adapt, and they've changed, and Gemini's now they're driving a lot of their answers. So they probably were, don't you think they were probably scared at some point that they might be getting ready to lose a major part of the eyeballs looking at their tool by what AI was doing? Am I right or wrong with that?
Oh yeah, I think it was a big race to who was going to release first and loudest with AI capabilities, and ChatGPT was just a little ahead than Google, and now ChatGPT has established itself as the replacement word for AI. So we don't even say that we search something on the internet. We just say we Googled it. It's a verb now. That wasn't how the platform started. It was a noun. So same, I think, with ChatGPT, and they just won the race to get out into the world first and loudest. I always share with agents to think about what they want to have at their fingertips and what they need to pay for versus use free versions, because that's a slippery slope. So think back to when we were all paying for cable TV, and then all of a sudden a streaming service came out, and we're all going to cancel our cable and we're going to save so much money by streaming. Well, now I would bet that there's a lot of households that if they add up all the streaming that they pay for, they've doubled what they used to pay for, in cable TV. So it's kind of the same slippery slope, in my opinion, with all different AI technologies. Everybody wants you to subscribe. Well, those $20 and $10 memberships per month can quickly add up. It's only $20 to have the paid version. It's only $10 to have the paid version. I can do so much more. You need to figure out what you need to use and only do the paid version for what it is that's going to advance whatever you want advanced in your life or in your profession.
And that's not a question you can ask the AI engines, because they're going to tell you that they're the best and you're going to pay for that one. They're not going to give any recommendations to another. That's it. That's a video topic, Ashley. Thank you for that content. I'm going to talk about Google going from being a noun to a verb. I love that.
Yeah.
And how now chat's doing the same thing. Wanted to say, hey, Jeremy, Jeremy Blanton, I told your story earlier about you were one of my first podcast guests talking about just getting started in YouTube, and now you've built that into a business that everybody respects. And thank you for being that guy. And wanted to say hello to Sean Kemp. I'm not sure I've ever noticed that Sean's ever been on our show before, but Sean is a stand-up guy in our Somerville office down in Charleston, and is also a full-time fireman. And I love that public service part of this guy and what he does with a very successful real estate business. So, Sean, thank you for taking a few minutes to be on the show. We appreciate you very much. So AI, could we talk the whole season about that? Probably. In the last few minutes that we have together, because Ashley, this season, I'm going to try to hit the 45-minute mark instead of the hour mark, which means you might make it to your next class on time, and I might make it to my next class on time. So I'm going to try, which means we'll probably go to 50. But anyway, it'll be better. Let me share a few things that are on this topic list, and if you guys want to pick one of them and talk about it for a minute, we can. But agent of the future, it's not only going to be AI. We're going to talk about agents who thrive versus agents who complain. We're going to talk about mindset a little bit. And Ashley, I think you had maybe brought this topic up about how the future mindset matters. Am I right? So let's talk about mindset. Lawton, you're in the trenches every day doing this business. You get a punch in the gut. You hosted an open house. Somebody wanted to buy the house that you were hosting, which never happens. They go under contract. You were so excited. Wow, look at this happening after all these open houses I've done. And then a week later, they're trying to cancel. So talk to me about practical mindset in the saddle when you're doing business. Ashley, you've been there too, but you talk about what you see in the classroom with mindset and how that matters for success in the future. We're going to do a whole episode on this, but let's just do a 30,000-foot view and chat about it for a second.
I'll answer since Ashley was dying for a second.
Thank you for stepping in.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of what you just explained, I think it's practical for kind of what every day looks like. Like, we drive into the ground having a business plan in the beginning of the year, but it could be in the middle of the year if that's when you started. But having that set up is so important. Like, the only reason I was at that open house was because I knew I had to be there. Like, it was legitimately like 3 weeks of open houses with no one there. And I think that's maybe happened one other time since I started almost 2 years ago. And like, it was terrible. Like, I was bored out of my mind. I made more social media videos than ever, but like, knowing that that's the number I had to hit, that's the only reason I was there. So that, in that part of the day-to-day life, that's kind of where that mindset's really important to me, knowing, I know what I have to do. I'm going to do it regardless of how much it's annoying. But then in terms of like, I think one of the big things that we'll probably hit on at some point, we already kind of talked about it, is clients are going to end up and continuing to know so much more that us being able to tell them basic things is not really that important anymore. We should know them, but they're going to already know. Like, it's not anymore very often, hey, I'm looking for this kind of house. Can you help me? It's more, hey, I've seen these 4 houses on Zillow. I've been looking for the last 3 months. I want to go see them. Well, then how do you separate yourself from the 300 million other agents it feels like there are in this area? And even like the ChatGPT idea, like, they're going to, if they have a question about a contract or a thing, are they going to ask you, or are they just going to ask ChatGPT if they're using it? So then I think your mindset on your relationships with people, that's the part that, at least right now, ChatGPT can't really replace. So that's kind of the mindset that I have day to day. But yeah, it definitely is. Your mindset has to be just keep pushing forward sometimes in this business, because it's what it feels like some days, to be honest.
Yeah. Ashley, now that you're done with your coughing fit, what do you have to add? Oh, Jeremy, you're not the only one. The person that won down in Somerville, who will remain unnamed, I congratulated her via text about her soup. And I said, do you cook a lot? She goes, never. Don't ever cook. I don't think I've ever used my oven or my stove. I looked it up on chat and the recipe came out and I made it and I won. So actually AI has won 2 of our Super Bowl competitions. Soup being they made soup from the recipe, and Jeremy's got quite a bit of talk. It was excellent. But actually, what about mindset? Talk to me, and I know you could do a whole hour on it. But what do you think, surface level?
So piggybacking what Lawton just talked about, I think that there's not necessarily the big risk of AI replacing agents. I think the bigger risk is agents all sounding identical. So Lawton was sharing people are going to come in already knowing certain things, but also just who you're able to get in front of. You're going to have to be creative in how you're going to differentiate yourself, because everybody's posts are going to start to sound the same and everybody's video is going to start to sound the same and everybody's language with people is going to start to sound the same. So if you can have a mindset of being aware, what's the messaging, who's my audience, and how do I want it to come across that really is me as a human, you can really get in there. I think that that is going to be like a winning edge for a lot of people. And also, Lawton was just sharing the mindset of building relationships. People form memories when they have an emotion tied to something that happens. So if it makes you laugh, if it makes you cry, if it makes you feel good, then memories are kind of formed through having those sorts of feelings. So if you're an agent who's tuned in to making somebody feel important, even if they think they already know everything, again, I think that's just going to put you at the forefront. So as long as your mindset is, how can I stay relevant? Then I think we can get there. If you have a mindset of it's all doom and gloom and everything's going to go away and nobody's going to need me and it's all terrifying, then maybe that will be true also, right?
Yeah, I'm not a total believer in The Secret, that concept of if you think it, it'll happen. But I do believe in the idea that if you sit in something and you dwell in something and that's your perspective and outlook, that you will attract way more of that than people that aren't that way. And I love that. And I think, I don't know how many years ago it was. It was 2 or 3 years ago, because somebody else was helping me host this show. I came up with this idea, and this is why I don't know if you guys like learned something from this. I've taken a lot of notes today during my own podcast, which is remarkable if you think about it. Like, I came on with all the ideas and topics, but I have taken a lot away from this. And I think that says a little bit about mindset. But years ago, I came up with this thing that I thought was pretty cool that I was going to put it on a t-shirt. And you know how a fraction looks like 1/2 is 1/2? I was going to make a t-shirt that just said connection and a line, and underneath it, I'd say connection over innovation. Because all the innovation in the world is fantastic. But when you can connect with someone, and I'll give you a perfect example. I walked into a class yesterday that I was invited to, but nobody thought I was coming to. And so I was, as the owner of one of the owners of the company, I kind of came in and startled people that I was at this class. Carrie was there. I noticed, though, that someone, Jeremy, excellent. You just made my point. I love that. I noticed somebody in the room that I don't really know that well had on some cool socks. And I said, hey, I love your socks. I've got cool socks on too. Let me show you. We started talking about socks. But I felt so connected to her for the entire class just because I had complimented her about her socks. I could have not done that, and I could have sat beside basically a stranger, right? And us not had anything in common. AI's not there yet. Like, you can't actually, I told you your hair looked pretty today. AI isn't there yet, where you have a camera in your living room and it sees you walk through, and before you walk out the door, it says, Ashley, you look stunning today. Thank God. I hope it doesn't ever go there, because that's weird. But imagine those kinds, just small little things like that. And Lawton is one of my favorite humans, obviously, but he's very good at this at his age. You recognize things about people and you try to connect to those things. And connection will win 100% of the time. Mindset, we'll talk about next week. We're going to talk about the topic is problem talkers versus solution builders. And I think, man, I mean, this is here's Jeremy's comment. The same is true with social. The first part is social before you try to become a media company. But you first have to be social. Love that. Love that. Social media. Now, we could also talk further, Jeremy, about authenticity, because I think what you see on social, like yours, that was a great example for how you built your business. People would say, I think I've seen you used to do it about cooking. Remember? You used to grill when you were grilling, you would set up your camera and you would teach people. People would say, hey, I saw you cooking so-and-so. Well, you were connecting with them, and then you built a business around it. On social media, you have to ask what's authentic and what's not. Some of it frustrates me that, I mean, everybody's got something new and great coming. You know, my favorite thing is this is going to be epic. You know, we're leveling up. I mean, I'm just done with all of that. Connect with folks. So before we go, Agent of the Future, Season 8, every Wednesday at 10, except for when we're in Vegas, it's going to be a different time, but every Wednesday at 10 o'clock live stream. That episode will then be public Monday following as a podcast. So we're going to do 15 of these with about one special guest every month, other than the special guests that are always on here with Lawton and Ashley. And next week, we're going to talk about the problem talkers versus solution builders and dig a little bit deeper about self-talk and all of that. We'll have Tyler with AI the week after that in Vegas, and then we'll just be launched into a lot of conversation. The show is so much better. I think Ashley and Lawton would agree with things like this. When you comment, I started the episode by telling you a story about Jeremy before he even came on the show today about how I remember his first user on YouTube, and now 85% of his business comes. But the show's so much better when you guys participate. So that's why we do it live stream. I can see Ashley and Lawton anytime I want, right? We do this so you guys can hop on and ask questions, and you can comment, and you can get. So somebody told me not too long ago, hey, we need to get together and have a talk about what should our mindset be in 2026. That's what we do this show for. So come on and ask some questions, and we'll dig into that. But thank you, Ashley and Lawton, for being here. Ashley, you're 8 minutes early for your class. I'm so happy for you and for me doing that. You guys have any parting words before we go?
I just wanted Lawton to know that his hair looks nice today, too.
You know what?
Ashley.
It does. My 8-year-old on the way to school the other day said, I have a big forehead. And I turned around to Hazel and I said, look at the size of this. And next time you're with your brother, Lawton, look at the size of his forehead. That's just what we do. Hey, look at this. Look at this right here. I want to shout out to Sierra in our company. You see this? How cool is this koozie?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, with this wallet, got Remax on one. So look at this. Look at this. Bam.
Oh, nice.
Is that nice?
Nice.
And I did put the Captain America sticker on there, but I thought about it. I might put it on the bottom so people don't laugh. But you guys, thank you so much for being here. This is Rise Up in Real Estate, episode 1 of season 8, The Agent of the Future. You guys have a fantastic day, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.